cleaning up some stuff and moving some stuff over here from the other shop because tomorrow I will finally be out of the other shop. So it'll be nice because once I'm out of the other shop, I won't have to worry about stuff being over there. And I really didn't go over there much as it was. So I kind of always, in the back of my mind, worried about it. But after tomorrow, I'll bring all the pallet racks and the press and some other stuff over here, and we'll be 100% out of there. I won't have to worry about it anymore. And it'll be really, really nice. So that's, yeah, that's going to be pretty awesome. So we'll see what exactly happens with it. But I've already talked to the landlord there, and he said it was fine. So it'll be nice to not have to worry about doing any of that stuff anymore. Being kind of obligated to. I had like a year lease. What happened was I ended up having to sign a lease for a year because they didn't have this building here cleared out, which I ended up having to clear it out, but they didn't have it cleared out before my lease ran out, and then it ran out, and then I had to renew it. So it was a whole year pretty much just wasted of having a shop over there. So it'll be nice this whole year. I won't have to worry about it. I won't have to be worried about like thinking about moving stuff, and I can just focus on 100% the projects, which is going to be really, really nice. So hopefully, hopefully we can get some stuff done this year, which will be really nice. I can't wait. So let's see. First, what's up? Would you ever sell the Magnum? So I really don't want to sell it. Like I've said previous times, if somebody offered me a crazy amount of money for it, I'd probably end up selling it. But it would have to be, I've told people like $800,000. It'd probably have to be 800,000 or more to convince me to sell it. So plus the more I get done on it, the nicer it gets and the closer it gets to driving. So the less I want to even worry about selling it. So I really don't want to sell it, but if somebody offered me a crazy amount of money, it'd be stupid to, turn it down. So at the same time, it'd be kind of stupid to sell it too, because it's going to be such a cool car. So I'd be very torn. Good evening from Florida. What's going on? How are you doing today? Not too bad. I'm just, going to be happy to not have to be worrying about moving anymore. I think moving is probably the thing I like the least out of anything. So it'll be nice to not have to worry about it anymore. It's kind of crazy when I think back to it, because when I moved from Minnesota, I moved so much stuff, and it only took me like 2 trips. Well, I mean, it's so far away, I don't want to do more, but I mean, I moved a lot of stuff from Minnesota. So, and moving from the other shop, I've just had so much time. I've had a whole year to move from the other shop. So I haven't really been too obligated to rush doing it. Hey man, can I get a job at your shop? I need to learn. You don't have to pay me. Well, see, the issue is I'm in Colorado, and it seems like everybody that says that they want to come over. Even I've been trying to find people to like work, and it's pretty difficult here. So yeah, that's going to be the biggest issue. Let's see. I thought with this thing, so I'm trying like this new thing to see. I thought I was going to be able to add people. Let's see. Add a guest. Oh, but I have to like send them a link and stuff. Man, that's lame. That's super lame. I thought with this it was going to be kind of like where you could just like add people. It'd be really easy. You didn't have to like send them a link, but I guess they made it kind of difficult. So let's see. So for a year, you had 2 shops. Yeah. So what ended up happening was I was supposed to buy the Junkyard, and then they ended up giving it to their kids. So I already have my stuff in here, but then they said that then I'd have to rent it, which wasn't that big of a deal. So I ended up renting it from them, but then they didn't clear any of the stuff out, and I had to clear it all out. And you know, by the time that happened, my lease was already coming up for renewal. So I wouldn't have had any, I wouldn't have had a place to put all the stuff. So I wasn't going to leave it all outside. So I was just like, well, I'll just rent it for another year, which at the end of the day really sucked because I should have just been able to buy this place. If I wasn't told that I was going to buy this place, there was literally a place right down the street that was like 200 something thousand or 250,000. And like right after that sold, because I was thinking about buying that, my friend Chris wanted to buy it with me. And I was like, no, they told me they were going to sell me this building. I'm going to buy this building. And then they said, oh, we're going to give it to our kids. And like the week before that, that other building sold. So it was just kind of a shitty situation. So I have been looking, I've been looking. Everything's been so crazy expensive lately with real estate. So I'm just waiting for everything to just kind of settle down, which it has seemed like it has, because all the houses that have, that were selling for like really, really high, over exaggerated prices, they're now coming down by like the tens, 20s, $50,000. So a lot of that stuff is just going to tank, I think. Like I said, I've been telling my friends, like, I think now that it's after Black Friday, things are getting a lot worse because not as many people bought stuff as they thought were going to buy stuff. Even though that, I saw a bunch of stuff. My grandma always watches the news, and I saw that the news was like saying, "Oh yeah, so many people were buying stuff, and it was a record year, and all this stuff." And then I saw a bunch of people going out to like Black Friday shopping on TikTok, and all the stores were empty and all this stuff. So I guess we'll see. But by the end of the year, I think everything's gonna tank super hard. So hopefully that's the case. But I just really would like to get my own place that's 100% mine. But I've also thought about this whole year. I don't really want to have to get into a spot where I have to I just finished moving. Moving took up a lot of time in energy from the projects. So once, once I'm done moving, I don't want to have to move for at least another year so I can get the Charger done. I want to get the 3000 GT done, the Durango done, the FD done, because the more stuff that runs and drives, the easier it is to move, and the more parts that are in one piece on a car that runs and drives instead of just like laying around. So especially the Charger, I would really like that thing to move under its own power and not have to keep trailering it around. It'd just be so much simpler to be like, oh, I want to move. Like if I wanted to move to Florida, it'd be such a pain, which I don't want to move to Florida, but it'd be such a pain to pack all this stuff up and all these, I have probably half my cars run and half my cars don't. But even the cars that run, I really wouldn't want to drive them to Florida. It'd just be so uncomfortable for most of them. Like the FC or the FD, and the Charger probably would be great, but the Durango would probably be great too. The Challenger, the GTO would probably be okay. It would get I'd have to fix the tune so it would get better gas mileage on the highway, but because I'd be stopping every 150 miles to get fuel. But yeah, let's see. I'm working on my next news interviews getting done at my workplace. The Lakeland celebrities volunteer with special needs video on YouTube is now over. What? I have no clue what's going on there. 1 of 1. That's nice. Thanks. Hi, Dave. What's going on? So I know you. Hold on. I know you weren't I know you weren't chosen for the chief donut maker. Do you feel like it's cool you were not chosen because of all your builds? Um, I don't know. I really so the funny thing is a lot of people always comment on my videos and they're like, "Oh, you're just salty that you didn't get the chief donut maker position and all this stuff." And I'm really not. I mean, I just did it as like it came up. I thought I was a good fit for it. I submitted my application sort of thing and that's it is what it is. But at the end of the day, I'm not even if I see even if I would have got the chief donut maker position, I wouldn't be like, "Oh, well, Dodge parts and their shipping situation." I wouldn't just be like, "Oh, that's still not happening," or all the damaged parts that they send me and all that stuff. I'd still be, calling them out on it. But if I would have had the position, I would have had the correct people that I could have got a hold with and been like, "Hey, man, you need to put packaging in the box with the fenders, so every fender you send, half of them don't come damaged." I mean, and there's a bunch of other things like engineering stuff and stuff like that. But they didn't want Dodge did not want a person like that, and that's why Kale SRT. I think Jose applied. There's a bunch of other YouTubers that applied, which I think the group of people that they kind of selected was kind of just like a slap in the face because in coming to find out, like I said, when I went to SEMA, and it all made sense because they use a they use a third party marketing team that does all of their marketing. So I feel like that was the major issue and the disconnect because that marketing team is just a bunch of marketing people. They're not car people. Their job is to, you know, promote companies and do all the marketing stuff like that and do a good job. But at the end of the day, they're not, they don't know the industry. They're not car people. So I feel like there would have been so many other people besides myself that would have been a good fit for the position. Plus, the person that they did end up like the dude that won it, I feel like Dodge and that marketing team kind of did him dirty. I mean, I've watched some of his videos and they're like 100 views, like 300 views. He'll have like one video that's like 100,000 views or something like that. If I was Dodge, if I was their marketing team, why would you pay a dude $150,000, give him a Hellcat, and then not have all the videos that he makes and all the stuff that he does pumped by Dodge's media team? So he's getting like they're trying to create a social like influencer person, but then they don't help him out at all. They just like, "Oh yeah, here you go. Here's a bunch of events." You know how hard it is for a guy in the automotive industry or across any social media platform, in any genre of social media or whatever, doing cars, building houses, doing whatever on YouTube. You know how much harder it is for a guy compared to a girl to do that. And I'm talking about girls that like there's Faye or Sarah, or there's a bunch of other ones that actually do like good videos. They're not just like going around just like showing their stuff to get views, but it's pretty hard. So I feel like Dodge just did them really dirty. And by the end of the year, what's he going to have? He's going to have a YouTube channel that doesn't get any views. He's not going to make any money on it. And if he quit his job to do the chief donut maker position, he's going to be, needing to find another job because he's not going to be able to live. Like, how long can you live on $150,000? Like, unless you just live normal and like just have like sell the Hellcat, buy like a cheap Honda Civic or something. It's just one of those things. It's social media for guys is very, very difficult. I mean, I'm not saying that it's easy for girls that are doing it right and not like selling their bodies to get followers and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, yeah, I'm not too mad about it. I mean, all the stuff that I've wanted to go to this year, I did, and it's not like I don't already have Hellcats. I already had a Challenger Hellcat. Have the Charger, I have the Durango. So it would have just been cool to be able to have that. Like the one thing I wanted the position for was so I could talk to like the engineering department, get maybe CAD files or maybe have them help me out, stuff like that. I didn't care about the money. I didn't care about them giving me a Hellcat. I already had 3. So at the end of the day, it is what it is. I feel like Dodge just wasted the money, but plus they're doing all electric stuff anyway now, so it really doesn't matter. But I guess we'll see what happens. It's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens with Dodge and where they go. And I think all these companies that are using like third party marketing teams or third party like recruiters. So when you go to get a job, I feel like all these companies that use those aren't doing themselves justice because the people, all these recruiters or these third party marketing agencies are trying to find are like people that are just going to be like, tell them yes to whatever if there's a problem, even if it's the wrong answer, they're just going to tell them yes and just to keep their job. And that's the issue with America now is everybody just is yes men, yes women, and they just go to work and they just say yes until they get promoted, and then these companies go out of business and everybody wonders why. And that's the issue. Nobody has the balls to say no. I do though. Let's see. I'm sure nobody cares though. So people are just going to tell me, Dave, you're whining. Why are you whining? Let's see. Hey, Dave, love the content. Doing an SRT 6.1 swap on my 06 300 that came with a blown 5.7 out here in California. Hell yeah. I mean, if I lived in California, I don't know. I don't know how people do it that are like cars and live in California. I'm not sure how you do it. I was driving my deleted diesel truck when I went and picked the FD up, and I got like the dirtiest look because it was fully deleted, and I got the dirtiest looks from like so many cops. They'd start to creep back because I'd be black smoking people. They'd start to creep back, see the plates, and then they just like go off. And I was just like, it's all too expensive. Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy right now. Things that shouldn't be expensive are just like I can't even think of anything right now, but I just like food and stuff like that. It's just the one thing I think is very funny. So there's a sandwich place that is local, and then there's McDonald's. So I can get me a sandwich from this local sandwich place. It's like $14.60 with a like homemade tea, homemade sandwich. It comes with like a side, like macaroni and cheese, something that's very healthy. And you always have like leftovers because the sandwich is so big. So I just have them cut it in half and I eat half the sandwich. I take the other half home for like the next day or maybe dinner. I can go to McDonald's right now, a number 7 with 2 cheeseburgers, a Coke, and some crappy fries. And McDonald's has really gone downhill because I used to love McDonald's, but now it doesn't taste the same. I'm not sure what they did, but the fries don't taste the same. The hamburgers don't taste the same, but that same meal is like 14 something dollars, $13 for McDonald's. Like McDonald's should be like cheap. I mean, I remember I remember you could get like cheeseburgers on the dollar. Like I think they're on the dollar menu for $1. You could get 2 cheeseburgers, a Coke was $1, and a thing of fries was like 50 cents or something. I'm not that old. Like I feel like when I say shit like this, I feel like I'm like 100 years old. But I mean, even when I first started driving, when I first had my Suzuki Swift, I remember me and my friend would go drive around and I'd be paying for like gas and change because a gallon of gas was like $1, I think $1.50 or $1.40 something. And then it went up like crazy under Obama, and then it went down recently, and now it's back up like super crazy. I mean, I've been paying, I think like six. I think last week was like $6 a gallon for diesel. Like, and like 2 years ago, it was only like $2. So, yeah, it's just crazy. I think everything's gonna have to figure itself out because I don't know how most people are just getting by that work at like these jobs. Like who works at Starbucks and can afford like $6 a gallon gas? I mean, you're not making enough money. Plus you have to pay rent. Plus you have to buy food. Like I just don't understand how the people are surviving. Is I just wish I could see people's finances and just be like, what are you doing? Let's see. Let's see. Hey, Dave, why do you have to customize the ABS pinning wires and stuff? So the Durango and the Charger Challenger are different systems. So I didn't want to have to go into doing anything with programming or any of that stuff. I just was like, and I don't like ABS as it is, but it's going to work. It's going to have all the launch control, which with all-wheel drive, really probably don't need it, but all the launch control is going to work and all the other stuff's going to work. And I don't have to worry about going into the BCM and the ABS pump, which is a pain with all the new Dodge stuff, and changing it so it works with the like the Challenger setup. So unfortunately, it's a little bit more fabrication work, but at the end of the day, you know, programming wise, it's way easier. That is my first TV interview. Tight. I had a Dodge Stealth back in the day. The last video you mentioned the engines are glass. No kidding. Blew mine 3 times. So yeah, the issue with so there's a few issues with them. Most of them, I wouldn't say the engines technically. I mean, the engines are pretty iffy, but the first thing, if it's a manual, you need to disconnect it so you don't have to push the clutch pedal in when you start it. That is one thing that's going to save the engine, because over time, for some reason, those things DSMs have always suffered from crank walk, and pushing the clutch in for some reason. Well, I guess it's because most of the time they sit and the oil film on that thrust washer is always not there. So then it starts up and wears it down over time more and more and more. And then it has crank walk, which ends up blowing the engine up. Another issue is a lot of people that have DSMs never change their oil or use good oil. And then they blow up because of that. They always spin bearings. Another big issue with them is people just never want to change the timing system. And if they do a timing belt, they don't just do the tensioner or the water pump. Like they just do the bare minimum. So like a good timing belt kit is a really big plus, because then you don't have to worry about bending the valves. I really don't think they have a big issue since it's a nice iron block with a lot of zinc in it. I don't really think they have an issue with blowing head gaskets and stuff like that. I know the NAs do, but the turbos I really don't think do. So plus ARP head studs and stuff like that. I want to go through mine eventually, probably after I blow a head gasket once I put the larger turbo on it. But yeah, the 6-speed manuals, the trannies are, I think the trannies are strong, or is it backwards? Or the 6-speed trannies are weak, and the 6-speed transfer cases are strong, and the 5-speed trannies are strong in the transfer case. It's something like that. So yeah, I think that's right. So most of the stuff just revolves around like little tiny finicky stuff that ends up putting the cars, on jack stands because they're heavy. They're a very heavy car. And then they have just so much stuff that's, electronics wise and stuff that they put into them in the 90s to make them perform. And, one of those things was like all-wheel steering, which I deleted online and stuff like that. ABS is something I'm going to delete online too. Once I pull the engine out to do refresh the timing system and paint the engine bay, and I'll do the ABS delete when I do that, and then do some wiring stuff and single turbo it and go from there. But I want to get the car painted and have it driving, and maybe that'll be next winter's project. So I'll get everything painted before spring, have the VR4 done, the Charger done. Maybe by then I'll have the Durango done, and maybe even have the FD done. We'll see about that. But yeah, they're a really cool looking car. I mean, they're very good looking. They just never performed well. That's why they never caught on as much. Let's see. Are you keeping the custom rear bumper? I'm not sure. I have a good rear bumper, which I might end up just painting. I like this bumper, the one that I made, but there's just certain things that I don't like about it, which once I have the side skirts on the car, I might end up liking it more because it might look better. Right now there's no side skirts, so it just looks really off because there isn't anything that flows into it. So we'll see what happens. I do want to end up, body working that bumper that I made. I need to body work it on a car that's not painted so I could kind of finish up and fine tune the sides. But after that, I could prime it and maybe end up just having that painted and the stock one painted, and I could figure out which one I like better. But yeah, we'll see. Hey, Junkyard Dave, any chances on upgrading the truck? I know you've been waiting for a while. I don't know. I just want to get some stuff done. I kind of want to refresh my truck. I've been kind of gathering some parts for it as I find them. So I might end up just giving it a refresh and just kind of going from there. I need to figure out what I want to do truck wise. But like I said, I haven't really been thinking about much other than moving and the Charger, which moving this whole week has kind of hindered me working on the Charger, and I've been waiting for something for the Charger too. So that kind of has hindered the progress, which I thought this thing was going to be on the ground rolling and moving, but obviously it's not. Also, I've contacted a few companies for some info, and they never they started getting back to me, and then they never did. So I think I might have to just buy the stuff, and if it doesn't work, I'll just have to modify it like I've done to everything else on this car. I was just hoping to get some pictures so I could see if they are going to work or not around the steering shaft. Let's see, not easy for sure. What's up, Dave? I've been wondering if your Charger Magnum is your personal vehicle or for a customer. The car's mine. All three are building electric cars. I feel like the electric car market is going to fail. Yeah, so I feel like the electric car market has already failed itself. There's there's just so many things. So many people have already had so many issues. Like I mean, Rivian is a good example, but it's not an electric car. It's not like a battery issue or a motor issue, but it's just, all these companies are starting to come out, these new companies, and they're just rushing into the market with this stuff, and then it's failing because they never did any, verification testing. They just were like, oh, we're gonna run in the market, try to beat Tesla, and it's just all failing them. So I think that the next big thing is like the Hummer EV, the Ford, what is it, the Lightning or whatever it's called, the Ford truck EV. I feel like those, because they have such a large battery pack, they're going to start catching on fire, and it's going to be like a super bad fire because it's such, like, I think the Hummer is like the biggest battery pack in any electric vehicle out there. So, plus the issue is once those battery packs burn up, that lithium is gone. And we already don't have very much lithium as it is. So the more cars that catch on fire, the less, the more battery packs that catch on fire, the less lithium we're going to have. It's kind of like helium almost, where as you let helium out, it just is so thin, it just goes into space. And it's gone forever. So we can, once helium's gone, we're done. We don't have any more helium. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the electric car market. I mean, from now on, there's always going to be electric vehicles, but I don't think it's going to be to the extent that people think. I think it's going to be a very small number. Once people see that they're going to have all these issues, they're not going to be as reliable as gas powered vehicles. They're not going to be as efficient. They're not going to be able to get you to places as fast. I mean, if I was going to plan a trip from Colorado to California in a Tesla, it would probably take me a week to get there or more, depending if you can get to fast charging stations and stuff like that. Some people, that's fine. But for me, I drive to like New York in 30 hours straight. So, and California is like 14 hours straight. So I don't want to spend a week when I could do something in 14 or 30 hours. I don't like, New York would probably be even worse. I mean, it would probably take you 2 weeks. I don't know. I haven't looked into any of these figures or like the distances. I know how far they are with my truck, but and I know Teslas get like 200 miles their charge, but it's people are going to just see this and they're just going to be like, I'd rather have a gas car. I could just go to the gas station, put gas in it, and there's only so much that you can do for like a supercharger. There's only so cold, each strand of wire. And the issue with supercharging cars is why there isn't as many superchargers out there, is because the supercharger has to be cooled to pump that much electricity into the battery pack, because as you put more and more amps through a wire that's the same size, the hotter it gets. So there's only so much you can do to make a car charge faster, unless you put a bunch of extra plugs on it and you have to plug like 5 different plugs into the supercharger in like a minute. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting, I guess. I just want to see what happens. It's going to be very, very comical, I think. Very, very interesting. Next, the water car. The water car, this stupidest thing. People want to use it. It would be like if you could power a car with oxygen. Like it runs off the air you breathe. It's the stupidest thing to power something that you need to live. You don't do that. It's dumb. Like, you don't need, what is it, 300 million people driving cars around that use water. Then you're like, oh, what do I need to drink? Oh, what do our plants need to grow? It's just stupid. It's dumb. And then people are like, "Oh, well, it comes out of the tailpipe as water." Some of it comes out of the tailpipe as water. Roll coal. Yeah, I was definitely when I was in New York, I was doing the same thing in my truck. So in California, I had the F-250. It was deleted, and I was rolling coal, and I got a few people in Priuses, and they gave me dirty looks. And then when I was in New York, I had the F-350 6.7 deleted, and I was doing it to some people that are just like all mad. uh, what's your opinion on fossil fuels lasting until we're all forced to drive EVs? So fossil fuels, I feel like there's a misconception of how much fossil fuels we actually have. There's a lot. Like we are if we're lucky enough our civilization lasts another 100 or 200 years, we're still not going to run out of fossil fuels. And that's saying something. I mean, there's plenty of oil, there's plenty of coal, there's plenty of natural gas. There's no shortage of it. The only thing that's causing increased prices and stuff like that is, companies are like, "Oh, well, we can make more money if we say there's not any more oil." Or they do the same thing that with the diamond market and the gold market. They just cut off the supply or they buy up the supply and store it so there's less of a supply, so then they could be like, "Oh, well, we're running low. We don't have enough supply. There's plenty of oil. We haven't even tapped into stuff in, I think, Alaska or Canada or any of that stuff. So there's plenty of it. I wouldn't worry about it. There's less lithium on the planet than there's a lot less lithium. We'll run out of lithium way before we run out of oil or fossil fuels. Let's see. Credit card use is skyrocketing from the recent inflation. Sucks. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people are maxing out their credit cards. What's up with the rotary cars? So technically, if the engine was in the FD, it would run. So technically, both of my rotary cars run. The FC I drive all the time, but the FD I just was doing stuff, and I need to paint the engine bay and stuff like that. So they do run, but the only one that drives is the FC right now. So I want to get the FD for spring. My plans are to have the FD running, the VR4 running and done, the Charger running and done, and the what was the other one? Said maybe the Durango. There's another car though, but yeah, maybe the Durango running. It'll probably be painted, but I'm not sure if I'll have the built engine out of in the Charger and the old engine back in the Durango by then yet. Sending my hellos from Puerto Rico. What's going on? Let's see. Transmission failure update. Yeah, the transmission is pretty much the same. I need to find a new case so I could build that. Like I said in the previous video, I just don't want to trust that case running so much power through it and wanting to drive this car across the country and go to a bunch of events. So hopefully, actually, it's just a matter of time before I find a good case. So then I'll build it and go through that whole process. I've followed the Charger Magnum Hellcat build all the way through. I can't wait till I can see this thing in person. Yeah, I mean, this thing, I can't wait to finally be able to drive it. I really want to get it out of the shop, get it off the lift so I could actually wash her because she's pretty grimy right now. Just all the dust and stuff like that. There isn't enough infrastructure to support it, period, and The efficiency range is not practical. Yep. Global warming is said to be such a danger to the earth, but while they mine all the lithium and cobalt, leaving gigantic craters around the world, that isn't a problem. So the biggest issue, I don't know why. Well, I understand why people don't talk about this, and probably I don't know. Probably a bunch of people always think that, like, when I say stuff like this, I'm crazy. But if you think about, they've been tracking the sun, and as the sun as a star starts to die, you know, if you guys have watched all my videos and understand, I used to be a tech in high school. I built computers, and kind of like, I like anime and all this stuff. So I'm kind of like, you've seen the LS intake manifold. You'll understand it. So as like the sun or star is dying, it expands. So think about, probably a couple million years ago, the sun was 20% smaller. Is it 20% smaller? Yeah, 20% smaller and like 5 or 10% cooler. So if the sun was that much smaller and that much cooler, Venus would have been an inhabitable planet. So what does that say? The Earth, like we already know, it was in an ice age. So the sun is expanding more and more. We're going to increase the heat in Earth. Like, the Earth is going to get hotter and hotter, and it's always been a cycle. So who knows if the Earth actually revolves around the sun in, perfectly or something. Maybe after so many years, it goes into a different orbit. But yeah, I'm not no scientist, I'll tell you that. But I do like science, and I do like a bunch of other stuff. So I don't know. It's just a bunch of just BS. I mean, how do you say something is the truth when you've only been keeping track of it for like the past, let's say 500 years? I mean, we've been keeping track of stuff for the past maybe 50 to 70 years digitally, so we can keep like precise measurements, temperatures, day to day, statistics. But at the end of the day, I've been looking stuff up, and I know that I've looked at stuff, and then like all that information has been like edited, and then you could see that it says it was edited, and like, it's like, why do you even have this if you're going to edit information and data from years ago and change what it was? It's just, I don't understand it. So how do you know that any of that data is correct? So yeah, I don't know. I just want to like download the internet from like 2005 and then archive it, and then before it's all changed. So you need to move 500,000 pounds of dirt for one Prius battery. Yeah, I mean, it does. It's like platinum. Like, the more, I don't know. I really don't see the reason for catalytic converters. I see the reason, but I don't see the reason. Do they really work as well as they say they do? Because all my stuff deleted, and my truck doesn't have a DPF on it, and it doesn't, like, unless I really rip on it or put it in like a higher gear so it loads itself, it's not going to black smoke at all. So plus it gets better fuel mileage, a lot better fuel mileage than an undeleted truck. It's, I don't know. It's just interesting. Fast charging equals wait in line for 45 minutes and at least another 45 to charge. Yeah, it just depends on where you're at. Like if all the chargers are taken up, yeah, you have to like wait in line. How's the EV working during the winter? We do not really have near as much power, even close to being able to go full electric. Not in 100 years. We'll be close to able be able to. So another thing is there's a I forgot what it's called, but there's a there's type 1, type 2, type 3 civilizations. We're not even close to being type 1, and it's referring to energy usage in production. So even they've already done, like, scientists have already done the math. And if we covered the whole earth in solar panels to generate enough electricity to become a type 1 civilization, it would still raise the earth's temperature, like I think it was like 20 or 25 C. That's quite a bit. So it's, yeah, with all this information they have out there, I don't know why they keep doing what they're doing. I feel like they just want the planet to get hotter. And I don't know. It wasn't really that hot this year here, and we live in the high desert, or I live in the high desert. So it was I'd say it was below normal. It wasn't as it rained more than usual. It wasn't as hot as it normally was. And I mean, there was a few days that were like 100, 110 degrees, but man, I remember that there's always days, there's like weeks of like 100-degree days. But this year it was just like pretty nice. Other than we had like a bunch of sandstorms at the beginning of the year, and we kind of had a windstorm a couple days ago. But yeah, I think, and it rained a lot. I don't know. It was green pretty much all summer, which is kind of weird. Um, let's see. I'm in Iceland, and during winter, many what? Oh, Trashla models do get damaged easily. I think they just junk them if getting the battery damage, as it costs more than the vehicle value to repair. Yeah, so um yeah, I don't know. It's it's going to be interesting. Very interesting to see. I have a few stocks with like battery recycling companies. So if they do keep producing EVs and they have to, lithium's going to run out eventually. They're going to have to start recycling these battery packs and these cells. So hopefully, hopefully this, picks up. They almost have the factory done. So we'll see. My stock portfolio this year has just been trashed from, um, you know, yeah, everybody knows. So um, hopefully I don't sell anything when it's down because I don't need to, but it should all go back up. Let's see. There's no shortage of fossil fuels and won't be for generations at least. Gas is finally $2.95 by me. So the one thing with gas prices, I always see them showing gas prices on the news, and they're like, well, gas is like $2.95 or whatever, but I've always bought premium or diesel. So, diesel used to be cheaper than, the lowest grade, gasoline, which if gas was like, let's say if gas was 2.95, diesel used to be, I'd say like almost $2. But now if, lowest grade is 2.95, the highest grade, which is 91 or 93, is going to be like 360 or something like that. And then diesel is going to be like 4 something, which is crazy because diesel is an after product. But then they say that they add a bunch of sulfur, crap in there and all this other, stuff to get rid of the sulfur and, they have to refine it more, which I feel is a bunch of BS. But um yeah, it's just weird. Thanks for your opinion. Very much appreciated. No problem. I mean, everybody has one, I guess. I just I like to see what ends up happening because the funny thing is I like how everybody always changes their tune because they always are like they're pushing like they're super pushing electric cars right now. But like I was saying, I don't think it was in a live stream. I think it might have been a TikTok. Like it was like 10 or 15 years ago, they were super pushing that there was, inline sixes were going to be gone in the next 10 years, get them now, and all this stuff. It's like the same stuff. And it's just funny. I just don't understand why. And then they're like, oh, back comes the inline six, everything gets an inline six, and it's better than a V8. It just doesn't make sense. So I don't know if it's just like marketing stuff. They just do it every like 10 years or so. They just flip flop. So like in this 10 years, it's going to be all inline six stuff and EVs. And like the next 10 years, they're going to bring back all the V8s and people are going to be pumped about it. I just, it's going to be interesting. I like to see what happens. It just takes time. It's just weird. When are you dropping the next video? So hopefully, I was hoping that I'd have a video for Monday, but I'll show you what's going on. So what I need to do is, where's the little thing at? So here we go. So these are the lower mounts for the coilovers. But the issue is I need a fork to go around the axle. I don't know if you can really see it from in here. You can kind of see the axle. So right there, you can see the axle, and right above it is the coilover sleeve. So I need like a fork to go around that. So what I ended up doing, because I try to find one that I could make work with the car, there's nothing out there that was wide enough. There was this weird Chevy kind of like half moon thing. I was kind of sketched out about using that. So I ended up designing a bent one that I sent off to Send Cut Send that I thought was going to be here like Monday, but it wasn't. So I've been waiting all week to get that. So hopefully this Monday they ship it out because it shows that they still haven't shipped it. And I could get that. I could also get the fuel pressure regulator bracket that I designed for the charger. So it's just going to mount on the back of the supercharger, which will be really clean. And then I could weld those onto those coilover sleeves. And then I could get the car rolling, and they'll probably be, hopefully they get that to me, hopefully like by Wednesday. I'm really hoping. It's the biggest issue. Like I'm always having, I always order stuff ahead of time, and then I end up like catching up, and then I don't have the part, and then I'm waiting on it. So hopefully by Wednesday it's here. So sometime this week I can get that busted out, get this thing off the lift and rolling. I want to get the new shop lights in the shop, but I can't do that when the car is sitting where it's sitting in the way. And then once the shop lights are in, then I could do some other stuff. I'm also waiting on some pictures. Like I said, I was going to get some, I need to figure out like the whole steering shaft situation, which ended up looking like it might work with some long tube Charger Hellcat headers, but I wanted to get some pictures to make sure, which I probably should have just ordered the headers and just said, well, if they're, if they don't work, I'm just going to cut them. But we have, we have the steering shaft right there. But if you're underneath the car, if that shaft was on the other side, which it looks like all the aftermarket headers push all the tubes all the way out, almost touching the frame rail. and it like tucks all the way up under there. So I think that steering shaft could tuck behind the header, and then that hole is right there. So I think that could possibly be what makes the steering shaft like super easy. But if I have to put the headers on there, we'll have to drop the engine down, which will be really easy. I won't even have to like move anything. Just drop it down a little bit, pull the headers off of there, or the stock exhaust manifolds, put the headers on there, and then that'll make doing the exhaust a lot easier. But hopefully, I get some sort of reply soon so I could get all this sorted out and figured out. And then I'm supposed to be talking to Boston about the wheels this week. So hopefully I can figure out. I think I know what the offset is going to be. I think it's 20 by 11 plus 38 because I ordered this. Where's it at? So I ordered this little wheel offset finder. So it holds a tire on there, which I don't have a 315 tire laying around right now, but it holds a tire. Then you set it, but it also, the wheel would be like right here. So hopefully we get some good wheels too, because that'd be a lot better than these Trackhawk wheels. They don't look bad. They're just not wide enough. So in the front, I don't know, they all look pretty decent. I think the offset on these, since they're 10s, they're the factory offset, they're like a little sunken, but they're not bad. I mean, it's not like a stance car. So plus those don't have 315s on them, and they're not 11s. So the 315s are going to be a little bit more, the sidewall pokes out a little bit more. So I don't want the sidewall to like bulge past the flare or anything. So the VR4 looks awesome. Thanks. When are you going to start on the RB30? I don't know. Eventually, I just want to get some stuff that's close to being done finished, because then the more stuff that gets finished, the more stuff I can actually drive and enjoy while I'm working on the other stuff. And I want to get the Z done though, so I could, the RB30 is for the Z, get that thing done and get her all together so she runs and drives and she looks good. I need to figure out what color I'm going to paint the Z. I was always thinking that I'd paint it like a dark metallic blue, but there's a lot of Z's that are a dark metallic blue. When I wanted to paint it the car that color, there wasn't as many, but now it seems like there are a lot. And the original color was like that. I don't know if it's like, I think it was called like mercury silver or something, but I could paint it like either the stock color, it's like a metallic silver, or like Z-Tune silver would be kind of cool. So I'll have to figure that out. Like this live, this man works hard. Thanks. Are you going to make a forged transfer case for the VR4? I don't know. I was thinking about doing some stuff. I was actually thinking about doing that with the Trackhawk front differential, but I was also thinking I could move that into like the dry sump oil pan. Since I have this case, I haven't done the video for it yet, but this case isn't good. It's iffy. It's like usable, but it's just kind of like the transmission where I really don't want to use it. So I was thinking about just using measurements off of it and making a billet case for that, which would be kind of cool. And then I could end up adding that into the billet dry sump oil pan, so everything is nice and tucked up in the engine, and that would help a little bit with my axle angles, which they aren't too horrible. They just, they kind of, I don't know. I'd like them a little bit better than they are. So that'd probably raise the transfer case, or not the transfer case, but the front differential up, like I think like 2 inches, 2.5 inches, something like that. It's going to be a significant amount. Let's see. Love all your builds. Thanks. Are you going to put the Tesla motor in with the LS in that G8? The Grand Prix, yeah, I plan on doing it. I've just been waiting on AMEV has the board now, but I haven't heard anything because the guy that I was working with got either fired or laid off or something. So that's kind of unfortunate. So I've been waiting for the new guy to get a hold of me, which I talked to him at SEMA. So it's an excuse to charge people money. Yep. After the Charger Mag, will they let you build a Tesla Model 7? What? I could see moving to natural gas, not to EV. It's a renewable resource. Where's the Ranger you plan on rebuilding and making it a show rig? Snow. I thought you said show. I've been waiting to find an engine for it. So the 4 liters seem like they're kind of difficult to come by, which is very interesting. I wouldn't have thought that a Ranger engine would be so difficult to source. How much longer do you think till the first burnout in the Magnum? I'm not sure. We'll see. I can't remember the whole summer was 100 to 115 here on the East Coast, and now it never gets 100 here where I live. And I live in Florida for a couple of years, and it wasn't really ever over 100 there. Where are you going to start the interior? So, like I said before, I want to get the car off the lift so I can open the doors, and that's when I'm going to start messing with the headliner. Once it's off the lift, I could do the headliner. I could get the headliner upholstered, get it mounted in. Then I could finally put a front windshield in, which is going to be so nice to have a front windshield in the car. But yeah, that's once I get those things, I mean, she'll move off the lift, which will be nice. Hopefully the steering shaft works out. Can be a lot of work if not, as you know. I think it's going to work. I mean, it's pretty straight. If the stock exhaust manifold, so the only thing it hits on the stock exhaust manifold is the exit on it. So if the stock exhaust manifold came out like a set of aftermarket headers, which most of the newer, like the long tubes, the first 2 cylinders, I think it's the first 2, come up and then they come out to the outer, to the outer frame rail side, and then the 2 back ones onto the inner. So I think that would work perfect, because then that steering shaft is going to be going behind it because there's going to be that much more room. But without having it said, and I don't know, the header, the long tube headers are like almost $2,000 for a set of headers now, which I mean, I remember buying headers when they're cheap. Like, has a set of headers, long tubes used to be like $250, $350 for good ones. But I don't know. I guess we'll see. I'm probably going to end up ordering them and then having to cut them up, which won't be that big of a deal. It's just going to be, just kind of be irritating. But yeah, I'll figure it out. Shouldn't be that difficult, because if I can keep that steering shaft just go straight from where it is, it'll be able to use, most likely be able to use the whole factory steering column and all that stuff, which will be awesome. So I'm just hoping. I have an 05 Magnum with the 5.7. I want to manual swap it, but am not sure what transmission is compatible with the Hemi. I've done the 2008 front facelift. Well, you just have to get like a TR6060 with the bell housing for like a Hellcat or a Scat Pack, and that should bolt up to the 5.7. But I mean, those trannies are like $2,500. What's the inside interior you're gonna put in the Charger? So I'm torn now after seeing Tavares's Supra and talking to him. I'm torn between the peanut butter interior or the red interior. I really wanted the red, and first I wanted the peanut butter, and then I switched to red, and now I kind of want the peanut butter again. I think it would look really good with the blue, but finding the interiors is pretty difficult. They're not very easily sourced in in good condition. They're always all the ones I see on eBay and stuff like that. They always have like they're always damaged, or they have like somebody who's like smoking cigarettes in there, and they have like burn holes in them. So, yeah, it'd be nice to find a good interior to put in it. Hey mate, greetings from New Zealand. What's up, Patrick? How's it going? Making huge progress. Thanks. Glad I caught you this week. Yeah, thanks. How many horses are you looking to push on the Magnum? So the plan is to have so Hellcats have two different tunes. So the plan is to have the 1,000 horsepower and then like this 15 or 1,600 horsepower. For like the red key would be like the 15 or 1,600 horse. So I want it to all work like that on display where you can switch them and stuff like that. But yeah, something like that, something around there. I think it's gonna be close to 1,000 with the smaller pulley and all this stuff that I have on it now, and then we'll be able to turn it way up once I get the built engine. So, or all the parts to build the engine. We'll see what happens. But and it kind of depends what happens if I'm using the BGE block or a new block. So hell yeah, thanks. Peanut butter all the way, easy decision. I know I really like how the peanut butter interior looks. It just finding, because I think they stopped making the peanut butter interior in like 2019, and it's really hard to find a good one. And I don't want to order a whole interior from Dodge. So the issue with ordering an interior from Dodge is, so I didn't know this when I ordered the stuff for the Durango, but they just send you the like the leather seat itself. They don't send you the whole seat back, which when you look on when you look at the picture on the like Dodge's website, when you order parts, it shows for like $800, it shows the whole seat, like the whole back of the seat with the foam and everything. But what I got for $800 was the leather cover. So just for the back. So I was kind of disappointed in that, but that's the only way they say they sell them. But and I didn't want to have to stitch the seat back up, which I could have done, but that one was like torn or something. I don't want to deal with it. So yeah, to get all the interior for like a Hellcat, the door panels are sold. They're like sold in different pieces, and there's like 7 pieces per door panel. So a door panel would probably be like $2,000 per door panel from Dodge. A seat would probably be like $6,000, like for the front and passenger driver seats. And then the rear seat is 3 pieces. Actually, it would just be, plus they sell the cushions as separate pieces, and they're different than the like the SXT and stuff like that. The Hellcats are by themselves. And those cushions I think are like super expensive. So yeah, I just need to find a good set of seats. But my plan has been I'm gonna throw the SXT seats in the car, and when I'm driving around the country, if I don't find anything before then, I'll just swap out interior and then throw the SXT seats in like a dumpster or something wherever I'm at, and and then just go from there. So we'll see. I I really want red and I really want peanut butter. So whatever I find first is gonna go in the car. When will you get new lifts? So it's kind of weird. So I was supposed to get new lifts last year, and so when I was at SEMA, I probably should just buy them. And so I think what I'm going to do is probably just start buying stuff instead of talking to companies, because the same thing with my TIG welder. So I was talking to the guy at SEMA last year, and he said that he was going to send me two lifts like this behind me, and then he was going to send me one of those 3-car lifts, the 4-post that way you could put 3 cars on it. And then what happened was when I went through the TSA and had all that crap happen in Vegas, they threw a bunch of my business cards away. So I lost his contact information, but he still had mine. So what I think happened was either got laid off or fired or something, and I never heard from him. So fast forward to this year, I talked to the CEO of BenPack, and he was like, he's like, I told him the story. I was like, yeah, I talked to the guy, and he said he'd send me some lifts, but then I lost his card when I went through TSA. I had some issues with security, and they threw a bunch of my cards and a bunch of my stuff away. So, and then he's like, oh well, he's like, we might send you a like a floor creeper. And I was like, okay. And I was just like, oh well, that's cool. But the dude already like said he was going to send that stuff before, and the same thing happened with HCP. And the the thing is like, if I say I'm going to do something, I do it. But the people at these marketing companies, I know they're not obligated to do it, but why would you say that you're going to do something like HCP? So I was talking to HCP. They're supposed to send me a TIG and a MIG, and I was going to do, videos and use it on the channel and stuff like that, which people are going to say I'm complaining. I'm not complaining. I'm just telling a story. So they said they're going to send these. They got my address. They got my shipping information. They got my phone number. I'm like, well, they're going to send it. They said they're going to send it in a month. So I sold my TIG, which really would only do stainless at the time anyway, because the high frequency circuit was being weird and it went weld aluminum all the way, kept like freaking out. So like 5 months go by and I messaged the HTP lady, and I'm like, it's been like 5 months. I was just wondering, when you guys are going to ship those, the MIG and the TIG. And she emails me back. She's like, oh, we don't need any more marketing for those. We're not going to send you any of them. I was like, what are you talking about? You told me you're going to send me them. So I think at this point, the best thing to do is just to buy what I need, and just cover up. Like the companies I work with, they love working with me, and I appreciate that they work with me, and I'm going to continue working with them. And if any other company reaches out, I think from now on I'm going to be like, well, if you're going to send me something and you say you're going to send it. But if not, I'm just going to buy it, and I'm not going to have to wait for 5 months. And now I still don't have a TIG welder because I've just been using my friend Hayden. It's not as it's definitely not as convenient, but it's it's nice to be able to have him bust stuff out, because at this point I'm so rusty at TIG welding that I would have to probably spend like a solid week of just like practicing welding stainless and aluminum. I've really wanted to learn how to weld titanium, but I haven't had like a reason yet. The FD's exhaust is going to be titanium, but I just think it's kind of crappy that companies are like, oh yeah, we'll send you this and then we'll send you that, and then they never do. So I think, like I've said to a bunch of people that ask me about like sponsorships and YouTube and stuff like that, I'm just like, if you need something, just buy it. Because most of the time, if a company says they're going to send it to you, they're probably not going to do it. And I work with a lot of good companies like, Black Ops, AAD, QA1 is a really good company. I mean, I'm not exactly sure how I lucked out working with QA1, but I ask them if they could send me something and they instantly will ship that. Send Cut Send is really good. So I've been working with Send Cut Send for about a year and a half. I think QA1 is about a year. Chad at Black Ops, I think I've been working with him for about 2 years. I've worked with Holly as well. Holly's just a really big company. So it's kind of gets in that thing where, should I just buy it? So, and I'm sure that's, as you get bigger, as your channel grows, like Weston, he probably tells them he needs something and they probably just overnight it, or they just have somebody like drive it from the factory and deliver it to them as fast as they can. But as a smaller channel, it's just, I'm not saying I'm a huge channel. So, yeah, I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go and most likely, it's kind of hard like putting stuff in this shop permanently, but I think what I want to do is I don't think I could fit one of those 3-car stacker 4-posts here because I don't think it's tall enough, but I might put a 4-post, 2-car lift right here. And then right here, I think I could fit a 3-car stacker because I think that's like 16 feet or something like that, maybe 20 feet. So I'll be able to lift it all the way up. And, I probably could do like 2, but I really want to get rid of this 4-post because it's like for a truck and I don't really have anything other than my truck that's that big, and I'm never going to stick it on a 4-post. So I could get a different 4-post that's for cars and would be smaller and then would take up less room. And then in here, or I could put like a 2-post here and then have a 2-post over here too. But I was thinking I could do like a 2-post here and then another 2-post right here. So I don't know. I'm just kind of trying to decide how I want the shop laid out and just kind of go from there. But there's a lot of stuff that I want to buy to kind of upgrade the shop, but at the same time I don't want to put a bunch of stuff in here before, because I plan on moving out of here. I don't want to be in here forever. So once I get my main shop built or whatever I end up doing in the next year or two, and we'll kind of figure it out. It's just one of those things. It's just a progression. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I want to do, but I don't want to like rush it. I don't want to rush into it because it's then I have to tear it down, move it, and stuff like that. So yeah. Let's see. I like the red idea. It's like so torn between the red and the peanut butter. Um, what do you think of the new Cadillac Escalade V? I really haven't paid attention to them. They look all right. Let's see. Can you show views of the Magnum? I don't know. She's just chilling. When will you pimp a Suzuki sidekick? I don't know. Whenever I head out to New Zealand. Did you have a project idea for a Honda Element at one time? So I was looking for a manual Honda Element for like a very long time, but I could never find one. So there was a bunch of them, and they're always like 5 grand, but they always were like 200,000 miles, or they had a blown up tranny or blown up engine, or they're wrecked. And I was just like, you know something, I don't need a Honda. I don't want to. I'm not spending $5,000 on a Honda Element. But yeah, I wanted to do a build with a Honda Element, which might eventually happen if I could find one. I just really haven't had time to look, and I do look all the time at stuff, but it hasn't came across my my feed. Do you ever think about doing Copart content, like buying foreign cars and rebuilding them to sell? Um, Now I don't know. I buy what I need from Copart in the auctions. I just don't. I haven't really needed much lately. Let's see a burnout in anything. So I think the only thing that runs here, well, I guess the Jeep runs, but the VR4 is all-wheel drive, so it isn't gonna do a burnout. Um, uh, yeah, I don't think anything here runs. The Grand Prix would do a burnout if it would shift into first gear. I don't know why. That's another thing. So the Grand Prix. Um, so I was talking to the uh the guy that's like the Grand Prix king with the LS4s. His YouTube channel is like the LS4 king. And you know, I got the engine mounts and all that stuff from him to, you know, bolt the engine with the bigger transmission into the car. But he was supposed to send me subframe bushings, and I never got them. And then I asked him, like, I was like, whatever, I really didn't want solid subframe bushings in the car. And then I asked him to look at some wiring because I put a Holly Terminator X in it. And for some reason, the transmission, I've got it shifting from overdrive into third now, but it won't go into second, it won't go into first. So it just is like a dog. So I asked him to look at the wiring schematic because I put both of them next to each other. I told him exactly what I pinned out, and dude, he never messaged me back. I'm just like, I spent spent a bunch of money with you. You didn't send me a bunch of parts, and you don't want to look at the wiring schematic. I just didn't understand it. So um, I need to look into that. I need to get a Windows based laptop so I could plug it into my Holly Terminator X and get that thing kind of sorted out. Need to figure out, you know, maybe it's just a, you know, an ECU issue where it's not commanding it to go into, you know, second and first, but shifting it manually, it should, if as long as it has power, it should manually shift, which is what kind of confuses me. So I don't know. I want to get the Grand Prix sorted so I could take her to the drags, and then I want to, you know, put a different intake manifold on it, see how much power NA I can make, then see how much power once I put a turbo on it I can make, and then put the Tesla driving in it. So hopefully, hopefully that, you know, that's something else I want to get done for this, you know, this spring, so I could take it to the drags and do a bunch of cool stuff with it. 5-speed elements and CRVs have gone crazy since all-wheel drive Hondas have become popular. Yeah. Let's see. Say someone had a 2012, 2014 SRT8 Charger. Would you do a Hellcat / Red Eye swap for them? Um, so a lot of people contact me about doing work on their car or doing swaps for them, but then they instantly go from, you know, so I'll do a swap. You need whatever donor car that you're going to put, you know, whatever, like the Red Eye or the Hellcat, you need that donor car to swap everything over to the, you know, the older chassis. But in it's going to be like $10,000 in labor. not, then you have to buy the donor car, which Hellcats are like, it depends. A good one is like 30 to 40 grand. Red eyes are, up to 50 wrecked at the auction. And then the people usually, are messaging me on Instagram or an email, and then they're like, literally, I tell them how much it's going to be in labor, and then they're like, "Oh, so what do I need to do this and this and this?" And it's like, I thought you wanted me to swap it. Now you want me to tell you exactly how to do it. I mean, I have videos to do that. I mean, and then another thing that I thought was funny, I had this guy messaging me on Instagram, and he was like, "Hey man," he's like, "I don't know what's done to my Hellcat. Can you come look at it?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. I'll come look at it. I'll do a video and see what's done to it, and we'll do some polls and stuff like that." And then he's like, "Oh, I'll just send you some pictures." And I was like, "What?" So he sends me a bunch of pictures, and it looks like it has nitrous. It looks like it has all this stuff on it. I was like, "Well, I really can't tell from pictures. What does it say on the dash?" And he's like, "Oh, I don't know." And it's just like, you want me to help you for free, but you don't want to, have me, you don't want to bring it out so I can look at it. It just doesn't make sense. It's like people want you to go out of your way to help them, and they want you to pay for it. I just don't understand it. It just doesn't make sense. Like, I was like giving something away. I was like, I told this guy to come pick it up. He's like, "Can you deliver it?" I'm like, "Deliver it? I'm giving it to you for free. Why would I deliver it?" He's like, "I'll give you $40 to deliver it." I'm like 150 miles away from you. That's 300 miles round trip. That's not going to cover diesel. Like, I'm not going to deliver, or my time. I'm not going to deliver something. I was like, I'm just going to throw it in this crusher car. Like, I don't want to deal with it anymore. I just don't understand people where they come from. I just don't get where they have learned this stuff from. How's your grandma? She's doing good. Also, ever think of making a wide body Gen 2 charger? I don't know, maybe eventually. Maybe the wires seems like it's not the 1-2 shift solenoid. Maybe. Yeah, I'm not sure. I need to look at it. I just haven't had much time. I've just been focusing on the charger. Hard to say. Hey Dave, what's the plan for the Ranger you got? Swapping it soon. So I just wanted to have it as like a daily instead of driving my diesel truck in the winter. But um, I don't know. I've been looking for a 4 liter that's what's in it, and I'm not sure why they're so difficult to find. They must be pieces of crap because um, they're either all blown up, need a head gasket, or you can't find them. Let's see, just wondering ballpark numbers because I'm looking at getting an old charger and getting it Hellcat swapped. Would I have to bring you the donor car, or would you be able to get the donor car? So I could buy cars from the auction, but I could get the donor car. It just depends on what there is. I'm not going to buy a donor car that isn't going to work because there's a lot of them that I've seen people. Really good example. I'm not throwing Kale under the bus or anything, but that red eye that he bought for cheap, that was hit super hard in the side, like it was pretty much all the way to the trans tunnel. It was hit so hard in the side. That car that he swapped all those parts into, that transmission the case is gonna break on it. It's known. So the issue with them is when they get hit in the side for some reason or another, how all the stuff is designed, it weakens the tranny somehow. And I've seen a lot of people swap in Hellcat swaps from cars that were T-boned in the side really hard, and not instantly, but you know, it's pretty instant. The trans case just grenades itself, splits in half, everything falls apart. Sometimes the transmission falls out of the car because of it. Um, yeah. So I don't like buying cars that are like that because they are, you can pick up a red eye for like 8 to 10, $11,000 that's like T-bone super hard on the side. But at the end of the day, the transmission's probably going to grenade itself in like a couple hundred miles. And then you're going to be stuck with, being pissed off that the swap isn't lasting. So I usually try to find cars, Hellcats, that are hit in the rear and hit, in a way that it doesn't damage, maybe the exhaust is damaged, but it didn't destroy like the interior or stuff like that, or the bumpers are still on it, because you also want to use the interior from the car. If anything is off of the car, most likely they threw that interior or they threw all those parts inside the car. It's going to cut up the leather seats. Plus, you have to take into account that the different options of leather seats and interior are going to be different prices. So it's, like I said, it could be anywhere from, 20, $25,000 to like 50 grand, depending on red eye interior options. If it has red seats, it's probably going to be closer to like that, that $50,000 for a wrecked car. And like I said, it's $10,000 labor. That's a lot of stuff to swap over. You have to strip 2 cars and wire a bunch of stuff up and get everything to work correctly. So you're probably looking at like, depending on, what you want, like 50 to 60 grand to get it all done. So, just think about it, I guess. I don't know. The 4.6 fits in those Rangers pretty easy. I have a mid-90s Mustang. Respect the info, Dave. You're the man to get to go to and do stuff right. Thanks. What's wrong with people today? They think everyone owes them something. I get the same thing. People want me to work on their bikes, but then they want it free or buddy prices. It pisses me off. So yeah, I mean, I don't mind helping people out. I've helped subscribers out. I mean, that dude's car, that dude's Magnum, still sitting here. If I was anybody else, and I'm not saying names, they'd be charging him like storage on it because it's sitting at their place. But yeah, it's still sitting here, just waiting on a wiring harness. I mean, I helped him to try to get it running the first time, other than the wiring harness being cut up. But I'm not gonna help somebody and then them just like keeping, more and more needy and needy because they think you owe them something. Or I don't understand where they get this, like where they come from and how they like were raised to get like think that people like are in debt to them or something like that when they're already trying to help them out. So yeah, I just think it's weird just like talking to some people sometimes. Or yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just getting old. Maybe that's how old people get or something. Hey Dave, people these days have just lost their minds. Happy holidays to you and your family. Love the channel, and you make me want to learn how to weld and fabricate. Thanks, you too. Yeah, welding and fabricating is definitely something that everybody should, kind of just, even if they just lightly dabble in it, because it would help a lot of people out that are trying to build cars and trying to, there's a lot of people that just buy parts and bolt them on. But even when you buy stuff, sometimes you have to modify it. And I've seen the sketchiest stuff with like people that could have welded a bracket on, but then they just like baling wired it, or, even like doing electrical work, like just learning like the bare minimum. So you learn enough that, I probably shouldn't run this power wire through a firewall without a grommet in it because it's going to rub through the wire and then burn my car to the ground. you know Simple stuff like that. I just think like there should be they should teach like a common sense almost class in high school. So you're like not in, you don't go out in the world and you're just like a complete idiot. So, um, but that's never going to happen. Let's see. And they see the kind of work you do and don't want to pay you, they should be willing to pay you more. Yeah, it's funny because I don't really, so everybody, I don't know if everybody knows, but I just do YouTube for a living. And I do stocks and other stuff like that. But you would think that people would be like, "Oh, well, you know, you're not like, I don't know, you're not making money, so why should I, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm just, oh, yeah, whatever." Coming up to almost 190K subs. Congrats on earning so many. Thanks. I appreciate everybody watching. I just I wish I don't know. I don't know how you get to like where you get like hundreds of thousands of views of a video. I just don't understand. I guess maybe I just need to start doing better stuff or something. Oh, I guess we'll see. I watched Kale also. The cars look good, but I don't know if I trust the process. So, I mean, there's I don't really watch his channel, but I always see, because I have do a bunch of Dodge stuff. YouTube always recommends me all his stuff, and it shows me the thumbnails. And like he did like that. I think it was like a Gen 2 Charger with a red eye swap or something. But he literally just bought a brand new bumper, and he didn't paint it. He just wrapped the whole car. So like the bumper is just wrapped underneath, and all the other stuff is just wrapped underneath. It just, to me, it's just like it gets a lot of views. I understand that. It's nice to, that's one thing I've contemplated doing for a very long time is, my builds take a long time because I do to my knowledge as much as I can the correct way. And that ends up taking a lot of time because I'm all by myself, because nobody else, you can't find anybody else to do the same quality work. But, the faster you get stuff done, the more views you get, the more, more people watch your channel. So yeah, it's just interesting. Okay, what happened to that silver Magnum a subscriber left with you? Was supposed to get a harness swap. So yeah, he's supposed to send me a harness so I could fix it. And the car's, it's just been sitting here. So we'll see. Hopefully, like I said in the last live stream, hopefully he sends that harness so I could get it fixed. Good advice with the common sense course. I mean, I have seen some. I literally watch TikTok I'd probably say a good 30 minutes a day or something like that. And I always see these videos of like these girls, and people make like memes, or I guess they're not really memes, but TikTok videos of like their like progression. They're like, I don't need a man, and then they like burn their car down to the ground trying to jumpstart it. So it just probably be a good course to have for like everybody. You're doing what you love, and I love watching and having learned so much. Thank you for that. No problem. You're welcome. I have 7 old F100 trucks that I would like to be able to do 90% of the work too. That's why I want to learn to weld and fabricate. Yeah, that'd be tight. I've been thinking about getting like an older single cab short bed truck. That'd be kind of cool to do a project on, like an older one, not like the Ranger or anything like that. A lot of people put add-ons to their car trying to make it better, but make it run worse, because a lot of work goes into cars from the factory, and you really got to understand how it works. Yeah, a lot of stuff like the whole cold air intake thing is like the biggest thing I think is like the biggest scam I think in the 90s and early 2000s was like cold air. I guess even late 2000s was cold air intakes. Rather see you do it right, do it the right way, and take longer. Keep up the good work. Thanks. Do a bullnose build, please. So I've been on here for geez, an hour and 40 minutes. That's a long time. I didn't even think it was that long. But um I'm gonna end the video here. I'm most likely gonna have a video out Tuesday because I have been moving all my stuff from my other all the leftover stuff from the other shop, and I'm gonna finish that up tomorrow because I need the forklift tomorrow to move a bunch of, the press and stuff like that. So tomorrow I'm gonna finish that up, have that video out Tuesday, and hopefully by Tuesday or Wednesday I get the coilover forks so I can button up the lower control arms and have the car off the lift. And then I can start worrying about the headers and the steering linkage and get all that buttoned up. And then I could do the headliner and get the windshield in here and some wiring and stuff like that. So we're getting close. I really hope that I can get a bunch of that stuff rushed so I could get this thing. I want to get this thing running and driving by the end of the year. So I was actually hoping it'd be close to running and driving by the end of this month, but this month's creeping up pretty fast. So, and I haven't got parts. So we'll see. Thanks for tuning into the live stream. I appreciate everybody that watched and see you next time.